What's up, fam? Hey, man, glad to be here again with y'all. Welcome in to the channel where we always stay ready so we never have to get ready, especially when we always talking about finance and when we definitely talking about these stocks. Hey, let's get right down into it, man. What a crazy week in the stock market this week. We talked last week about how to expect a crazy ride as we watched the stock market salivate over stocks such as GameStop, where investors was chasing the quick money and looked at that run up and that decline in the same stock in 1 month. Man, GameStop was on fire early in the month and it was straight blazing down the flames at the end of the month. Hey, another stock everyone was looking at for quick money was AMC Entertainment, another high short interest play. Let's look at that chart as well and you will see the same thing. A straight blazing stock all the way up and then it always crashed and burned all the way back down. Man, it's surprising how many people probably lost their pockets and lost their bags and lost their pants dealing with these stocks, man. Hey, last week I suggested that most investors were sleeping on the stock market and not paying attention to some of the stocks who are the flagship stocks, in my opinion, when you think about certain sectors in our insane stock market. I suggested that investors should consider buying the dip in companies who were seeing a brief decline in their stock price. I do believe these declines came from investors who were getting squeezed by short sellers in some of the most high short interest stocks we discussed previously, which led them to have to cover their short positions and had to sell out of their long positions and some of their bigger holdings to cut their losses, leading to some substantial dips in our market. Let's take Apple for example. It's up currently this week 3.5% after solid earnings and an earnings call that had them positioned early in their 5G cycle to see them with more upsized growth potential in a company that's already valued at $2.2 trillion. While everyone else was out seizing the opportunity on GameStop and AMC, I was out there seizing my opportunity to snag a $200 option call for Apple out to January 2023 in one of my private accounts. I expect I'm going to do very well on this call and hopefully we'll be able to purchase more calls like this in the near future if another short-term decline comes through and it hits major companies again. In other news, in another stock that we talked about here on the show, we talked about how Tesla was on a dip, and now this week we go back and we check it out. It's on a 7.5% increase in the stock in 1 week. I purchased another 6 shares during that dip, and I expect those shares to 2x by the year's end. I said all of this to say we always need to be on the lookout for when the market is in a sharp decline and then we don't understand why, that we need to really figure out what's going on, and you have to be consistently staying doing your homework, paying attention to what's going on in the media, and only making investments in companies that you truly believe in. Before we get into what I believe is a stock that has the potential to 5x from its current stock price, consider subscribing to the channel as it will be a big help and give you the opportunity to keep enjoying content like this. Now let's get into it. All right, guys, so let's talk about what I believe is a stock that's currently sitting in my private account with a potential for a 5x from its current stock price. I'm going to discuss with you how many shares are currently in my private account, and at the time of the recording of this episode, I am already up over 100% on my initial investment. I will share if I have plans on purchasing more and at what price. Why I see this stock as a long-term play, going always from 3 to the next 5 years. That stock, Arcimoto, stock symbol FUV. It's the same name of their stock or their vehicle brand called the Fun Utility Vehicle. Competing in the EV market, it's the only three-wheel vehicle in the EV market in the US and is based directly out of Eugene, Oregon. The current stock price is $31.87 and it has a market cap just over $1 billion. And all the analysts, in accordance with Yahoo Finance, see that the potential revenue growth for this company is an insane 600% in 2021 alone. Now, that is insane growth. We're talking about a company growing revenues 600% in 1 year. Is insane. No matter how big or how small that company is, seeing a growth number that big gets me pretty excited, and it makes me want to take a more of a deep dive into the stock. Hey, we're going to get right down into it though. We're going to talk about what's the vision of Arcimoto. So directly from their investor relation page, the vision of Arcimoto is to shift customers to a sustainable transportation system that they believe will only happen when we move away from oversized, overpriced, polluting vehicles to right-sized, ultra efficient EVs that we all can afford. This company has been public for just over 3 years and is currently valued as a $1 billion company with a fleet of three-wheel EVs that has the opportunity to disrupt the automotive industry in different segments. Though they have personal vehicles, which is the fun utility vehicle, FUV. They have last-minute delivery vehicles called the Deliverator. They have a cameo vehicle, which is only used at movie recording studios. They have their own roadster version of the FUV. And then they have municipal and emergency response vehicles, which are called the rapid responders. These vehicles are equipped with a 19 kilowatt battery, which is about fourth the size of Tesla's Model 3, and it does not currently have a fast charging option, but does have plans to go that direction maybe once scalability has been achieved. Hey, I really hope that we get that demand signal for the demand of a fast charging option in these FUVs, because if there is a demand for it, that means that they're delivering great numbers to society, where people are more interested in these vehicles than a lot of people are giving it credit for. So if we see an uptick in deliveries, you can expect the uptick in the demand for the fast charging delivery. Now, you can drive one of these vehicles, and if you drive it completely dead on that 19 kilowatt battery, the CEO has been on the record saying it only takes 24 hours to fully charge that battery again. So that's it. But you can charge it on a 110 volt or a 220 volt wall outlet. So you have the opportunity where you don't even have to change the electric panels in your electric outlets in your garage or in your house or anywhere, to where you can actually just go ahead and plug it directly in, and you can get a full charge in 24 hours, which is still not a bad thing for a vehicle that you probably going to drive only 20-30 minutes out the day anyway. So the FUVs come in 4 different styles, and they all have independent dual motor front wheel drive systems and a 4-weighted body, which allows for it to perform well in rain and snow. It's equipped with heated seats and grips to deal with winter weather. It does come with doors, even though every picture that you see shows it without them. And it does get up to a speed of 75 miles per hour. The cost of an FUV starts at $18,000, which is still less than a vehicle that you can buy today that's an ICE vehicle. The company looks to cut the starting price around $15,000 and possibly even get it down to $12,000 long term. Could you imagine having these vehicles on the road at $12,000? It'll be an overwhelming majority of these vehicles on the road if that price could ever get down to $12,000. We're a long way from seeing that, because we're going to have to see the growing pains of a company that's getting up in mass production, and they're going to go through their trials and errors. But when they get it down to scalability, where they're putting these vehicles out at mass production, at max capacity in their facility in Eugene, this is going to be an outstanding facility to produce a vehicle that can get you down to the cost of $12,000. And this is a company that's planning to use autonomous technology from whoever will let them use the patent for the autonomous technology. So they're not locked in to trying to build their own autonomous technology, which they would have to raise more revenue and raise more capital for in the long term. In the short term, for the long term, they're looking to capitalize off the investment of someone else's potential product and build that into their vehicle, which would give them the leeway to, hey, you can go autonomous. So now, can you imagine driving one of these, hopping in one of these vehicles and it's driving you around and you're not even having to do the work yourself? That's even more of a reason why people will want to actually jump in and want to buy one of these FUVs. We'll talk about that as we get more information, but this company is already showing me a trend that's already substantial to me. They're already buying a new facility that's going to have that's going to be outfitted for a bigger facility than they already have in Eugene. Then they're already working with Sandy Monroe and his associates to actually build out their better production schemes for their product. And then they're already capitalizing on the journey of thinking of, hey, we need to be able to support autonomous driving in these vehicles as well. So once they actually can get a partner who can actually allow for them to use the patent of autonomous driving, we're going to see whatever level 3 or level 4 autonomous driving that they're going to be able to provide. And that's going to be even more of a reason why you want to have one of these vehicles where you can get in and out of flow of traffic at no problem. You can park anywhere that you need to comfortably. You can park a motorcycle parking at that point in time with one of these vehicles. You can show up anywhere you want to, and these vehicles will give you the flexibility to do what you want to do and still give you the opportunity to enjoy it as well, because it's still a fun utility vehicle. This company looks to scale to 50,000 FUVs annually. And when you multiply the vehicle sales expectation with the current sales price, you get a figure of $75 million in revenue year over year. Now, let's not make this mistake of thinking this is a guarantee. This metric only tells us where we should expect to see the company operate at a scale when a production is up and running at max capacity. Now, in 2021 shareholder letter, the CEO of Arcimoto stated, quote, that in spite of multiple production shutdowns and supply chain interruptions due to the pandemic, the team delivered 97 Arcimotos to customers in 2020, an increase of 110% over the prior year. We also built 26 vehicles for marketing, testing, and pilot fleet programs, end quote. Those pilot programs were with noticeable chain restaurant Wahlburgers of Key West and the city of Orlando. In regards to the city of Orlando's pilot program, which will be over the course of 90 days, which started on November 25th, 2020, Arcimoto vehicles are expected to be tested by Orlando Fire Department, Police Department, Code Enforcement Division, Permitting Services, Venues, and Parking Enforcement. That is the latest milestone of the city's Office of Sustainability and Resilience, which has recently worked to convert hundreds of fleet vehicles to electric, hybrid, or compressed natural gas, and is working to enable more than 500 level 2 charging stations citywide, and launch sharing programs for cars, scooters, and bikes. Orlando Mayor Buddy Dyer stated, quote, our goal is to be the most sustainable city in the Southeast. Goes on to say, to achieve this vision, we must continue to seek out smart solutions that are more environmentally friendly, efficient, and cost-effective. We are hopeful that Arcimoto vehicles will be able to support the needs of many departments across our organization. We look forward to putting these innovative EVs to the test, end quote. I don't want to sit here and just discuss all the positives of what I see in Arcimoto, because as an investor, I have to see the downside of a business as well in order to make a sound decision in an investment strategy and how much risk I am going to take on when I invest in a particular company. I have to understand what the company identifies its future success as, but I currently have to see where they are currently positioned and how they're going to be moving in the right direction for their future potential that they are informing investors they want to be at. Arcimoto is currently fulfilling orders on the West Coast at the time of this recording, and they are looking to expand their delivery reach by delivering FUVs to the state of Florida in the first quarter of 2021, along with the Roadster deliveries expected to start rolling off the production line later in the year. So around the end of the first half of 2021, we should have a good sense of the acceptance and demand for FUVs based on the delivery numbers we started to get out of Eugene. If Arcimoto does not put out substantial delivery numbers, that makes 2020 numbers dwarf in comparison. You can see many investors run for the hills. And honestly, I would expect the stock to tank at that point. But one thing I have figured out over time with most of these EV companies on the market is that they like to sandbag. This is a play right out of the Elon Musk, CEO of Tesla playbook. That a lot of these EV CEOs are starting to learn that they need to leave a lot of room for doubt and then deliver when analysts think they won't, and that would lead to a blowout earnings call and blowout earnings report. Do I expect to see substantial deliveries of more than 97 FUVs delivered this year? Absolutely. Short answer is yes. I expect to see 100 plus deliveries in one quarter at some point this year. I think the room for growth is also outlined in the Biden administration plan that supports the federal fleet to become an American EV maker fleet. If Arcimoto is able to achieve just a 3% penetration into the multiple municipalities or federal government's automotive fleet, which they already have a 90-day road test zero emission partnership that's going to conclude at the end of this month in the city of Orlando, then that would further extend the growth rate, as they would be able to streamline more contracts that would essentially be already locked into the delivery numbers, as they still bring in more pre-orders as well. Now, let's talk if I'm buying more. By the way, if I'm helping you on your financial journey in any way, please help out the channel by hitting the like button and helping me beat the YouTube algorithm. So let's talk about what I have directly in my portfolio as it stands. I already have 813 shares in the private account, The market value for my shares is almost $12,000. Those shares are already up 120%, and they have reached close to 150% earlier this week as well. I am still holding. I bought into this company when it was just a $500 billion business. I still see a path where in the next 5 to 7 years, this company could be worth somewhere around a $10 billion market cap. And in the next 3 to 5 years, I can see a potential 5x from where this company sits today. If it starts delivering around 2,500 FUVs a year and somehow wins multiple businesses and government contracts to replace ICE vehicle fleets in certain areas, then this market penetration can be anywhere between 3 to 5% of the EV sector. That would be a huge lift to such a small company at the moment. I think once we start seeing these vehicles pop up in certain locations, they will stick out and people will start to become more interested in this vehicle year after year, and that will increase the demand for more production of these vehicles and more deliveries. I say all of this to say, unless there's a significant decline in the stock over the next 2 months, I am going to continue to hold steady. I see where the stock value is going to go from here. I do see a potential for the 5x, but I am also not in a hurry to purchase more of this stock as I await the most up-to-date delivery numbers over the next couple of quarters. For some odd reason, if this stock retraces back to the $15 level, however, I will be thinking and considering heavily making more and picking up more additional shares at that price range. Now, I hope you all enjoyed this breakdown of what I think could be a very big EV stock and what's becoming a crowded EV market. Hey, if you enjoyed the commentary, comment down below if you're either one already in Arcimoto, stock symbol FUV, or if you're considering starting a position in FUV. Hey, and until the next time, man, like I always tell y'all, I love y'all. Stay safe. Peace.